Congressman, thank you both for calling in from D.C. this noon.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
First, I know you heard the president speak right now. Your initial thoughts on his speech?
Where's he been for 2.5 years? I was shocked when I heard him say, heard the president say, make it easier for businesses. Under the president, the federal government has come out with an arbitrary ruling saying that styrenes are carcinogen. Styrenes make up the plastics that make up the manufacturing in this country, and boats and showers, all kinds of things involving plastics. We could lose tens of thousands of jobs overseas by another one of his ridiculous regulations. And he sits there and talks about making it easier for businesses to do business in America. I find that hard to believe. What about you, Randy?
Well, Congressman Hultgren, let me ask you this, Congressman Hultgren. That was Congressman Manzullo, by the way. You know, the president is saying, you know, he's going to be fighting in the coming weeks to change the tax code, to tax big corporations and the wealthiest Americans. But won't those companies pass the cost on to us?
Yeah, you know, I think the president has it backwards here. It's the worst time in the world during a time of recession to increase taxes, especially on job creators. You know, we talk about tax increases being job killing, and they really are. There's so much uncertainty and so much cost for small business owners. If we're going to get this economy turned around, it's not going to be the Fortune 500 companies that turn it around. It's going to be mom and pop stores, small businesses that do that. And to raise taxes on those types of individuals will kill jobs. So it's the wrong direction to go. I agree with his statement that we've got to get people working again. But the way that you do that is bring some certainty back, really clean up a lot of this out-of-control regulation that is really stopping hiring of permanent workers, and also this uncertainty about how much health care is going to cost and how much taxation is going to pour on to...
Congressman Hultgren, very quickly, you voted against this yesterday. You, along with Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., as well as Jan Jeffcoat, and I believe Congressman Walsh as well from Illinois. Why did you vote against it?
Well, you know, I respect my colleagues who supported it, but for me, I had made a personal commitment to my constituents that I would not support a debt increase unless it had real cuts now and systemic change to how we do budgeting out in Washington, D.C. I don't feel like this ultimate agreement had that certainty of really changing the system of how Washington works, and for that reason, I voted no.
Okay, Congressman Manzullo, after hearing that, then why did you vote for it?
Well, there were principled votes in favor and against this bill. It was a very, very close vote on it. Both Randy and I had voted for the cut, cap, and balance, which we thought was a much better approach. And that, unfortunately, did not get through to the Senate because it required both houses to pass the balanced budget amendment and send it on to the states. But this bill keeps us from default. Hopefully, it will keep our bonds from being degrading, which could bring everything down. But it's, as Randy said, it's a step. But it's a step in the right direction. Randy wanted to be a bigger step, so did I. But in the end, we just split our differences on it. So it's, you know, men and women of good thoughts and intention of principles came down a little bit differently on this issue. But Randy and I both agree we've got to stop this horrific spending. And I think that this bill gets us that way. It gets us pointed in that direction. But as far as I'm concerned, even though I voted for it, we have to go a long we have to go much longer in our strides to cut spending than this bill does.
Congressman Manzullo, how do you feel about House Speaker John Boehner and the Republican leadership in the House?
I think they did a great job. In the end, he worked out the best agreement that he could. You have to remember that this agreement does not raise taxes. It puts some curbs on spending. It leads us towards a balanced budget amendment. He did a great job on it.
Well, hold on a second, Congressman Manzullo, because it doesn't raise taxes yet, but you just heard the president say he's going to be fighting for that in the coming weeks.
He has been fighting that. There is no way possible that this commission is going to raise taxes because it has 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans. It takes 7 people to bring it to the floor, and the House of Representatives will never vote to increase taxes. That's not going to happen.
Okay, Congressman Hultgren, at any point, was there any backroom deal offered to you for a yes vote?
No, not at all. And that is one of the refreshing things for me, too, is, you know, we had a lot of discussions with leadership on this. The first vote I took when I went out to Washington back in January was to end earmarks and pork barrel spending. So this was really refreshing that there was, leadership did come and talk to me on this, but it was all about the issues, and we even saw Speaker Boehner adjust the legislation end of last week to address my concerns and others' concerns with that. It was a bill ultimately I supported. My frustration really was with the Senate and the lack of action that the Senate took, that Harry Reid never really passed a bill until we had passed 3 different versions in the House. So that's where there's frustration. We do need to do better of moving things forward, and I absolutely agree with Congressman Manzullo that this is just the first step. We've got many more steps to get our country working again and get this back in line.
10 seconds. Congressman Manzullo, was ever a deal offered to you? Any deals when all the talk was going on?
No. Nobody's ever offered me a deal in 18 and a half years of Congress, and they better not, because I'll expose them.
Okay. Well, Congressman Manzullo and Congressman Hultgren, thank you both so much for calling in this noon and joining us. We appreciate it.